I'm Dr. John Gartner.
And I'm Dr. Harry Segal.
And welcome to this truncated version of Shrinking Trump. Harry's about to go on vacation, and he'll explain.
Well, I think you guys remember a couple months ago, John went on vacation and we didn't have a show. But we really didn't want to leave the airwaves, the YouTube waves empty for a week. So we decided to do a short show this week. We normally film on Thursdays and stream on Fridays, but right now it's Tuesday afternoon. And I think the news cycle shifts so dramatically from day to day. So we're giving you the up-to-date news as far as we know it on Tuesday afternoon. And because it's a short show and we don't have an interview, we're going to end the show with a treat, which is really a collection of our various comedy bits that we typically end the show with. And as John would say, you have to sit for the sermon to get the soup. Is that right, John?
You got it. You got it right.
So we've curated some comedy bits. Most of them are from before the election when we were optimistic and exuberant. And the last one is a bit darker, which is after the election. Anyway, we hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we know people really do just kind of sit through us blah, blah, blahing to get a laugh at the end. So now you can get the dessert right away. All put together, a whole binge of desserts.
Exactly. It's like smorgasbord of bits.
Well, actually, maybe because you're going on vacation and you're in a lighter mood, but actually there were a lot more optimistic signs we saw this week.
Yes.
And you wanted to start with what has been going on in the polls with independents.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have been watching CNN, but they have a new young pollster who's now the senior pollster or something, I think, on the network, named Harry Denton, and he did a really nice job in explaining what's been happening to Trump's popularity.
We are standing by for the president to depart the White House. One would think he will face questions about all the Jeffrey Epstein developments. They have cast a shadow a bit the last few weeks over the administration. But this morning, the president kind of faces a different problem among a key voting group. CNN's chief data analyst, Harry Enton, is with us this morning. What group are we talking about, Harry?
We are talking about independents, Mr. Berman. And I will say this is the biggest warning sign, the biggest danger sign for President Trump in his second term so far. Why is that? Because it does not appear that there is a bottom to which Donald's support can't fall to. What are we talking about? Trump's net approval rating with independents. There was all this hubbub about Gallup that came out this past week. You see, back in January, it was minus 2 points. Now it's minus 35 points. But what's important here is Gallup is largely matching the average. Back in January, in the average, Trump's net approval rating with independents was minus 3. Look at where it's fallen to now, minus 29 points. That is a drop of over 25 points with the key part of the electorate. If you're not winning among independents, you're probably not winning overall. And when your net approval rating's minus 29 points, you're definitely not winning overall when you're that low with independents.
It's just the size of the drop. It's staggering.
It's huge.
Okay, so how does this compare historically?
Yeah, we were talking about Trump's overall approval rating, that it was the second worst overall. But we look among independents, it is the worst on record at this point. My goodness gracious, worst net approval ratings ever 6 months in among independents. Last time around, Trump broke the all-time record at minus 23 points. He is even lower than that now at minus 29 points. He has broken his own record for the worst on record. As I said at the beginning, there appears to be no fall, and Trump is certainly falling through that floor.
So during the Biden administration, I think there was a lot of thinking that maybe enough focus wasn't being paid to the effect that inflation had on people's thinking. And it may very well be that inflation is playing a bigger role in opinions than we recognize.
Yeah, so inflation in my mind was what cost Joe Biden the presidency more than any other factor, and it brought him down. But guess what? Donald Trump at this point, his net approval rating on inflation among independents, it's actually worse than Biden's was a year ago. Biden was way, way underwater at minus 38 points. But look at Trump and the average of polls on inflation. Oh, my goodness gracious, minus 45 points. I never thought I'd see the day, especially this early on in the Trump administration. The issue that in large part got him elected is at this point the issue more so than any other that is dragging him down. If this is what we have, on midterm day come 2026, I can promise you this. The Republican majority in the House, you can wave adios amigos, goodbye to it, because Republicans, simply put, can't win with this number.
Makes me happy.
Yeah, I love this guy. He's very he takes the numbers and he really makes them feel alive, and he really says what they're saying, and that is extraordinarily encouraging.
He's sort of a combination of Ron Brownstein and Jerry Lewis. He's got Harry Enton. I got his name wrong. Harry Enton. I really like him, and he's a good methodologist. He looks at the aggregates and he puts it together. These are really warning signs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is really bad. And I mean, look at that. And he's absolutely right. If these numbers hold, Trump's overall approval rating has now dropped to 37%. That's kind of where Biden was for 4 years. It's only 6 months. And I have to tell you, and to the audience, look, I've been really down the last few episodes. John has convinced me that we're all going to die. And democracy is over, and it may be. Who knows? But this is really inspiring because it's reminding me that Trump lost the country the last time he was president. His performance during the pandemic is why he lost. Plain and simple. When the public didn't trust him. What we're seeing, and we're going to get to this, I'll let John introduce the clips, but what we're seeing with the Epstein case is something similar. Because independents don't think he's telling the truth. He's kind of losing hold. And when Trump loses his popularity, he gets angry and he loses more. That's what happens. I think, though, what's terrible is that in those 4 years during Biden, when no one was doing anything and thinking he was taken care of by being indicted, Trump had a comeback where he somehow got everyone to forget that they had lost faith in him. And I think it's happening again.
Yeah, I think our hopes for winning back the House in 2026, what he said, well, they can just wave their House majority bye-bye if with these numbers. I think he put it very well with, minus 35% on inflation, minus almost 30% overall. I mean, the country wants a change. Now, of course, we know they'll do anything to manipulate to keep it. So this is actually a good time to mention, I don't have any media on this, but I wanted to mention that Texas is planning a redistricting plan to just manufacture 5 more Republican seats. So they just figured out that they can just gerrymander it a little more skillfully, right? They can just squeeze 5 more guaranteed Republican seats out. Well, of course, that's the kind of thing, the kind of manipulation they're good at that allows them to hold on to power. Well, what I'm happy to say is that a number of the blue states are saying, oh, yeah, well, if you do that, we will too. And you know what? We actually have more districts to gerrymander than you do because we have more people. California is the biggest state, and Newsom has said we're absolutely doing it. We're doing it. Assuming that Texas is doing it, which they probably are. New York, Illinois, I forget the other state. It might be Connecticut. Let me just look. It is. Hold on, I want to get it right. New York, Illinois, and Oregon are considering it, and California is in. So
it's Kathy Hochul in New York who's turning out to be a really feisty governor and really fighting back on Trump in ways that are really surprising. And I mean, come on, Pritzker's not going to let this go in Illinois.
Right.
He's not going to miss a chance. So yeah, I think. Look, my worries and your worries, John, is that somehow they'll find a way to either cancel the elections or manipulate them or steal them. I mean, that's the worry. But if there is an election and Trump continues to fall in the polls and wait till inflation goes up because of the tariffs, I think the Republicans are toast. And if we just get back the House, we can stop most of this nonsense.
At least we've got some lever of power, any lever of power, right? Even if it's half of one branch, that's something. But you know what I love about this, Harry? What I love about this redistricting, this blue state redistricting plan, is they're going low and we're not going high. Thank God. Because if we did, they may gerrymander, but we don't approve of gerrymandering, and so we're not going to stoop to that level, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, right before they send you and your family to El Salvador, you dope. I mean, use what power you have, fight fire with fire.
We can't end the filibuster because when the Republicans are in charge, they'll do whatever they want. Right. Get rid of the filibuster and fix things, for God's sakes. This is no longer a gentleman's chess. This is guerrilla warfare from the parties. They'll do anything. Look at what Trump is doing to universities, law firms, and the press. This corrupt deal with CBS, which is really despicable. A $16 million bribe to him personally, so that this guy can take over CBS and then cancel Colbert. Seriously? And we're sitting and letting this happen?
I am sympathetic to the people that say, no, we want to maintain, the integrity of the processes and be above, any reproach. And that would work if the institutions themselves weren't under attack by what is essentially a domestic enemy. Yes. The Democrats, what they failed to do is we're not establishing precedent here. We're fighting a civil war. It's
Agreed.
different. You know what I'm saying? And they didn't make that shift, and Biden never made that shift. I mean, I don't think that the elevator even got to that top floor about that issue. He never got it. He never took action to stop the vast right-wing conspiracy because he didn't want to appear to be influencing Merrick Garland because Merrick Garland was investigating. Fuck that.
And he was out of it, at different times of the day. Sometimes he wasn't. Sometimes he was absolutely cool, and then there were times when he wasn't. And also, he did have that old-fashioned belief: if I just do a great job, I'll get reelected.
Yeah. I don't really blame it on his cognitive capacity. I blame it more on his age, in the sense that he was lost in the 20th century, which I could appreciate if we weren't having the Civil War of the 21st century. I mean, it'd be as if Fort Sumter were attacked, and Lincoln just sort of continued to, kind of talk to the southern states as if we're still a democracy, even though they're even though they're shooting people and taking over forts. We'll just sort of continue to, negotiate, like maybe we can go to the back room and make a deal. And the point is, Lincoln recognized, no, this is war. This is war. And now we have to shift to a war footing. And we didn't shift to a war footing. And the point is, what these governors are doing is they are shifting to a war footing. We're not going to let them take the House of Representatives, right, with some fake gerrymandering scheme. We'll over gerrymander them. So if gerrymandering is bad, we'll out bad them. And you know what? When you're in a war, that's what you do. It's like, Patton said, your job is not to die for your country. Your job is to make the other son of a bitch die for his country. Yeah.
It's such a great line. I never heard that. That's so cool.
Your job is to win.
No, it's done. It has to be done now. I still fault Kamala for not coming out every day after Trump was elected and making a statement about how alarmed and full of rage she was. But she withdrew like someone in the 20th century, right? Who, when you lose, you step back, you let the winner take. None in this case. None in this case.
Actually, who hasn't been shy that way is Hillary. Hillary has, she's not a constant media, she's not overexposed in the media, but she does come regularly out and tell it like it is on some kind of talk show or, whatever.
Yeah.
Right? So Hillary's never been afraid to call a spade and speak the truth in plain, hard language.
It's true. No, she's so smart.
Yeah. She would have made a great president, and I do have a great deal of grief thinking about the president she might have been, and the same thing for Kamala as well. But but I've been following the Clintons for longer. So,
Well, Hillary is so smart and well prepared. One of the worst candidates I've ever seen. But that's not her fault. That just wasn't her.
It's funny. It's not her fault. I wrote a biography of Bill Clinton, and so I interviewed in person mostly a lot of people that knew them very well. And it's funny, they would all kind of say the same thing. They'd say, "No, I love Hillary." They'd always start with that.
Right. No, she couldn't. She couldn't be spontaneous and authentic.
Yeah, well,
in front of the camera, she just can't. I understand that.
That stiff kind of hard Hillary, that kind of is Hillary, though. That's the kind of thing. She's like, I love Hillary, but she's a little and then she said, well, she's not as warm as Bill. Let's put it that way. They're being very Southern. They're trying to be diplomatic, but at the same time, get their point across. But then she say, but she is smart. She is smart. She may be smarter than Bill. Bill always says she's smarter than me, and I'll tell you something. Bill wouldn't have gotten half as far as he did if Hillary hadn't been guiding him, and he knows it, and he'll tell you anyone who asks him. So they had enormous respect for her. The first thing I'll say is, no, she's not the most cuddly, puppy in the flock or a girl in the group, or, doesn't fit those, that likable, charming, open, affable kind of personality we're looking for. But she's damn competent, competent.
Listen, I watched that election 2016 really closely, and she would do these horrible speeches where she couldn't get the cadence right. And I don't know what, it was literally that bad. But after Trump gave a really disturbing speech, something happened. It was only happened once, where she just talked to the audience and said, isn't it alarming? She said, to hear that. And she was being herself for 10 minutes. I remember thinking, please just do that for the rest of the campaign. Don't read any speeches, no barn burning speeches. You can't. You have no talent for it. Just talk. Just talk in an intelligent way. But no one ever listens to me because I never tell anyone important what to do. But that's how
nobody ever listens to you because you're not important.
That's exactly. Why aren't I important?
Not really a mystery.
As Snoopy once said in Peanuts, why have I no friends in high places?
Well, it'd be better for all of us if you did. I would say that.
Well, thank you, Tom.
So this new segment is the clumsy cover-up continues. Of course, and this is really sickening how this cover-up is going. But here's the kind of meandering, yes, slightly demented way Trump is trying to create a counter narrative, and it's so loose. You know what I mean? It just doesn't really hold together. So here, you can hear his explanation as to how he's never been to the island.
I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth. And by the way, I never went to the island, and Bill Clinton went there supposedly 28 times. I never went to the island, but Larry Summers, I hear, went there. He was the head of Harvard. And many other people that are very big people. Nobody ever talks about them. I never had the privilege of going to his island. And I did turn it down, but a lot of people in Palm Beach were invited to his island. In one of my very good moments, I turned it down. I didn't want to go to his island. Yeah.
He didn't have the privilege of going to the island. That quote got a lot of play. It's just a weird word choice. And it's sort of like, well, I never went. Lots of people were invited. I never went. All these Democrats, they went. See, this is the problem with having Kash Patel as the head of the FBI. Of course, he's been to the island. And of course, it's well documented. But will that ever be exposed? I want to, maybe some of you are hoping against hope that actually some honest version of this report will ever see, the light of day, or even just the light of a miner's hat among some people who are seeking to do deep research into what actually happened. Kash Patel is a complete and total willing psychopathic accomplice. Okay. But more specifically, Kash Patel, I think people have short memories, has already been an accomplice in Trump's criminal scheme involving stolen secret documents, like the kind that an intelligence service would produce. Okay, so I'm starting to use ChatGPT more now. You know, us old folks, you know, we can get it too. You make fun of us like we can't use the computer. We can use the computer. So I asked ChatGPT. I tried to ask a neutral question, guys, okay? Because I'm not trying to bias I'm not trying to bias the giant brain. Okay, I'm not trying to lead the artificial intelligence. I said, what role did Kash Patel play in the Trump documents case? Okay, so let's see what ChatGPT, how they explained it. Kash Patel played a key witness and supporting advisor role in the U.S. Department of Justice's investigation into former president's possession of classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Grand jury testimony and immunity. In October 2022, Patel was subpoenaed to testify before a Washington, D.C. federal grand jury investigating Trump's unauthorized retention of government documents. Initially, he invoked the Fifth Amendment to refuse answering questions. The DOJ then granted him limited use immunity in November 2022, meaning he couldn't be prosecuted based on his testimony, provided he told them the truth. Declassification claims and public advocacy. Patel asserted that he was present when Trump declassified large batches of documents, including materials related to the Russia investigation and Hillary Clinton's emails, and positioned this as the central legal justification for Trump's retention of classified files at Mar-a-Lago. So this is what he told the grand jury. He also, despite his claims, however, multiple White House staff and legal observers have stated there is, in all caps, no, or in bold, no documented evidence of such a broad declassification order. And Trump's legal filings never advanced that claim explicitly. So, summary of Patel's role. Well, he was a grand jury witness, testified under immunity about the declassification claims and document removal. And he, of course, lied to them, saying that Trump had waved his arms over the whole pile and declassified everything. And he articulated Trump's declassification narrative in media and legal arguments. He was constantly on Fox beating that drum. So, this is the person who has 1,000 agents working around the clock to flag every single reference to Donald Trump. So just as he made up a story, right, about Donald Trump waving his arms, I now declassify all of the files in my bathroom, in my basement, and wherever else they may be, whatever they may be, because I have said it, right, Kash? Even though there's nothing, no record of any such order. Okay, so it's obviously a lie. Okay, and so he was already ready to aid and abet Trump in making all of these classified files magically declassified. I think he would be very willing to do that magic in reverse, which is to go into the files and erase any mention of Trump. And that's why he can say, I've never been to the island, right? Because they're trying to get rid of the evidence of his going to the island.
Maybe so. It's not as easy to erase things in FBI files as you might think. It's a lot harder than that. And I think Trump is not releasing stuff because you can't so easily erase information, but he's stonewalling. Mm-hmm. And he's saying this is a hoax, the Epstein hoax, the Obama did it, and Obama, it's not working, by the way.
Well, he has another explanation. Explanation that he broke with Epstein. He broke with Epstein. He's not down with all that Epstein stuff. And let me tell you why. And this is actually Tim Miller in the Bulwark. Actually, I'm going to let him explain to you why Trump is claiming now that he'd broken up with Jeffrey Epstein.
Breaking news at a press conference today, Donald Trump finally condemned Jeffrey Epstein. Let's listen to what he condemned him for.
For years, I wouldn't talk to Jeffrey Epstein. I wouldn't talk because he did something that was inappropriate. He hired help. And I said, don't ever do that again. He stole people that worked for me. I said, don't ever do that again. He did it again. And I threw him out of the place, persona non grata. I threw him out, and that was it. I'm glad I did, if you want to know the truth.
The thing that Donald Trump thinks is inappropriate that Jeffrey Epstein did is that he stole the help. He uses the phrase the help. Jeffrey Epstein hired people away from Mar-a-Lago. And that is the thing that Donald Trump thinks is inappropriate. Not, the child sex trafficking ring. Not the fact that he had 14-year-old girls running through his home in Palm Beach while Donald Trump and him were going to girl parties together. Not the fact that he molested and ruined the lives of so many young women, including a young woman that worked at Mar-a-Lago, actually. How depraved you have to be, how broken is your brain, where you talk about the thing that Jeffrey Epstein, the most famous child sex trafficker in the country, when you talk about the thing that he did that was inappropriate, what comes to mind is that he stole the help. He hired the help away from Donald Trump, the help. This is the man of the people. This is the man that was going to, as QAnon thought, break up the child sex trafficking ring. This is the guy that is fighting for the forgotten man. And meanwhile, he's just pissed that the people that work for him, the help, left to go work for a different guy, and that is what upset him. Truly mind-bogglingly heinous stuff from the President of the United States today.
How depraved can you go? How depraved can you be?
Listen, I always liked Tim Miller, but he is just on fire these days. That is so brilliant and so true.
Yeah, I'm glad you appreciated it.
And let's not forget, it was poor Virginia Giuffre who took her own life, who was snatched by Ghislaine Maxwell and Epstein from Mar-a-Lago.
Right. So in other words, he can forgive them for snatching one of his women and essentially destroying her, but he can't forgive them for whatever help workwomen that he took away from them.
John, come on, man. It's a terrible thing when you're as powerful as Donald Trump. You don't want someone poaching your servants. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, don't mess with my servants. They work for me.
Well, it's a very Marie Antoinette moment, right? Sort of let the meat cake moment, that Tim Miller sort of, zeroed in on there. That, not, and really, I think it's a little case study in malignant narcissism. That's why I like the way he broke it down, right? He called him depraved, right? But in other words, to be so indifferent, essentially. Right. Never mind the fact that we know he's involved, right? But even if he weren't involved, right? To be speaking of the person who has, done the sort of the most horrible kind of damage to the most vulnerable sort of people, and your complaint against him is that he somehow impeded on your privilege, and your entitlement. And so it's just showing the glaring complete incapacity for empathy, along with the superior entitlement, and the sadism that it really, the destruction doesn't really bother him. You can tell it just doesn't really bother him.
Look, it's hard to get good help,
Yeah, but that's something to get upset about. Right?
Exactly. Don't mess with my maids. I work hard to find them.
Yeah, no. So I was really glad the way he described that. Now, we're always complaining that the media is not showing how crazy Donald Trump is, because the way to really tell is to listen to him ramble and realize how completely loosely connected any of the thoughts are to one another. It's sort of the opposite of a weave. It's more like an unweave. You're watching him come unwoven as the thoughts start to fragment. But Ali Velshi did a great job here. It's 2 minutes, actually, of him recounting a Trump press conference and essentially showing you how he's going from one loose association to another. He calls him bat poop crazy.
Let's see how he does. Velshi is always really good, so let's see what he does.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. I'm not going to say any more words until my executive producer puts on the banner next to me. That was bat poop crazy. Just not gonna. That was crazy. I took lots of notes. This is in no particular order. Windmills are killing us. 7 million people died in Rwanda, but I ended that. The Rwanda genocide ended in 1994. Energy needs no subsidy. America subsidizes energy to a great degree. Windmills are Windmills are killing us. They're the most expensive form of energy. He's going to have a deal with the EU in an hour. He's not in a good mood. He said that. He said there's not going to be a deal really with the EU. He said very specifically, he said, mostly I'm just going to charge tariffs. It's not really a deal per se. People are just going to pay tariffs. He went on for a little while about a ballroom and how they don't have a nice ballroom in the White House because they've never had a developer in charge of the White House. But now he just built a beautiful ballroom and he could just drop it into the White House, and that's going to be fantastic. Wow. We've got a lot of steel and aluminum plants being built in the United States. We've got a lot of automotive plants being built in the United States. I can't even read my own writing. Asked about people starving in Gaza. He seems very upset that no one has thanked him for the food that they provided. He said that Iran is being very nasty with its mouth. He did say he gave two pieces of news. He said that the United States is going to do more for Gaza, and that he talked to Benjamin Netanyahu. Those are the only two pieces of news that I was able to glean from that whole thing. He also said we have a lot of con jobs going on, which I think might be a piece of truth as well, but I don't know what he was actually referring to.
Iran is being nasty with its mouth?
Yeah, that was one of the ones that stuck out with me also. But Harry, he's claiming he stopped the Rwandan genocide.
Unbelievable.
No, but I mean, this is what I mean about real dementia.
Right. We talked about this last week about confabulation when he claimed that Ted Kaczynski was a student of his uncle's at MIT, and Kaczynski didn't go to MIT, and his uncle died before Kaczynski was revealed as the Unabomber. And Trump described that story with the same kind of confidence, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm sure he made when talking about Rwanda. And here's Velshi, just going at it. But where's everybody else?
Right. I mean, I love the fact that he says, look, I'm not even going to keep talking until you put on the Chiron bat poop crazy, which they did not do. And he did continue to speak. But in other words, he's sort of saying, damn it, this is the breaking news. This is the breaking news. He's bat poop crazy. My God, he's sort of like, it's sort of like in The Emperor's New Clothes, if somebody else, he really is naked. But people just kept acting like he wasn't. It didn't act in the fable, right? When one person finally says it, everyone goes, oh, yeah, I mean, I saw it too, but I thought maybe it was just me, or I didn't have the courage to speak up. Now here it's like, no, he's actually displaying it and he's calling it out and we're just moving on. But I wanted to give him credit for illustrating the bat poop crazy.
Yes. It's pretty cool. I'm very happy about it. I'm glad you showed it, Sean. It's really cool.
All right. Well, we also have some more good news. We try to end with the what we call Resistors of the week, where we have some things to be optimistic about, and we actually found several things actually this week to be optimistic about. The first one I took is a little bit long. It's kind of an in-depth sort of feature piece. This is something that happened here in my state of Maryland. Pastor and father of 3 arrested in Maryland for overstaying his visa a quarter of a century ago. And I just wanted you to see another picture of him from the article. I just want you to see this gentleman. I think you can tell doesn't look like he's a big threat to the United States of America. He overstayed his visa. He's been here 34 years. He has 3 children. And he's also become a very beloved member of his community in Easton, Maryland, which is the capital of the Eastern Shore of Maryland, for those of you who don't know. And the Eastern Shore is the most conservative part of Maryland. But Fuentes has become a part of that community in 34 years. Fuentes Espinal works in construction to support his family and has spent the last 15 years as a volunteer pastor, so he doesn't even get paid, at Iglesia del Nazareno Jesus Te Ama, also known as the Church of the Nazarene Jesus Loves You, where he is known for his sermons and his generosity. Quote, Pastor Fuentes Espinal is a beloved pillar of the Eastern community, known across town for providing shelter to those who need a place to sleep, for opening up his home and providing food and clothing to those who are at the most vulnerable points in their lives. And he never expects anything in return, a member of the community named Foxwell told CNN earlier Friday. The pastor was held one day in an office in Salisbury, Maryland, before he was moved to a holding room at the Baltimore Ice Field office, where he slept on a bench without a bed, his daughter said. They were treating them worse than dogs, she said. She reports that he's actually been preaching to the other detainees at the facility. He added, I guess preachers are going to preach. Community members lined along a sidewalk on Friday afternoon in Easton, holding American flags and signs as they called for Fuentes Espinal's release, according to photos posted by the Talbot County Democratic Forum, a local activist group that helped organize the protest. If ICE took your dad, you'd be here, one of the signs read. And I just want you to see, this is from Facebook, the Talbot County Democratic Forum. These are pictures of people who were protesting his detention. So it's not a huge crowd. As I said, the Eastern Shore really is the reddest of part of Maryland. Their representative, Andy Harris, is really one of the worst MAGA representatives. It's worth maybe noting that Maryland actually was a slave state, but 90% of the slavery was on the Eastern Shore. But here are some progressive people out there with their signs and supporting their neighbor. Michelle here. First They Came For is happening right in front of us all right now. Proud to be standing with my community in solidarity with Pastor Daniel Fuentes. We need to be speaking out. Come join us at the public sidewalk now or reach out to us at democraticforum.com. Stay hydrated. So more than $20,000 has been donated to a GoFundMe launched by Foxwell to raise money for Fuentes Espinal's legal expenses and to help cover the basic needs of his family until his return. Fuentes Espinal had spoken at the funeral of Foxwell's son just weeks earlier, he said, noting that their sons had been close friends. In a letter condemning his arrest, Maryland Representatives Sarah Elfreth and Glenn Ivey called Fuentes Espinal, quote, a beloved pillar of Easton, and accused the Trump administration of, quote, indiscriminately profiling and targeting individuals based on their skin color. And Senator Chris Van Hollen of Maryland said the Trump administration is not targeting immigrants who are considered dangerous criminals. Quote, they're snatching up anyone they can find as they pursue their mass deportation agenda and terrorizing our communities in the process, Van Hollen said in a statement. My team is engaged with Pastor Espinal's family, and I will be monitoring this closely. So I just wanted to go in depth in this one story. I mean, it's heartbreaking to think this is one case and there's so many thousands, right, that has no one to champion them. But I'm really going to start talking about this as I did this last week, and I'm going to continue with this, calling this the American Holocaust. Okay, we are rounding up people in the streets based on their ethnicity, and we're sending them to camps, and we're sending some of them to death camps. So, and the numbers are going to grow. That's the intention, to grow these numbers, to move these people out of this country just based on some either legal technicality and their ethnicity, and put them in camps or put them in harm's way, and in some cases put them in camps in third world hellholes where they will die.
John, you're absolutely right. And by the way, last week I mentioned that there had been a makeup artist, a young man from Florida, who had been rounded up and sent to El Salvador as if he were a member of a gang, which he certainly wasn't. And I asked the audience if anyone knew what happened to him. And one of you so kindly posted this answer, John.
Many.
What's that?
Several people, a lot of people.
Oh, good. I only read one of them.
Good. That was good.
And what was his name? You had
Andy Romero.
Andy Romero, who was deported to Venezuela, though. I guess he was taken out of El Salvador.
Yes, but he was taken out of the El Salvadoran prison and returned to his family in Venezuela. So it is a happy ending. I'm glad that. Thank you to the audience for answering that question. And the rumors of his death that Harry started were greatly exaggerated.
I was so worried for him because
you were worried for him. I know you were.
What would happen to an innocent person in that jail in El Salvador?
Terrifying.
Which, as you pointed out last week, John, is a torture chamber.
The other piece of good news is we're starting to see elected politicians really stand up and use their leverage and use their voice. I want to focus today on Michelle Wu, who's the mayor of Boston. I just want you to hear what she had to say at a recent rally.
My advice to Tom Homan and ICE is to take a time out, reassess what you are doing and how you are doing it. A little friendly advice from the safest major city in the country. We know how to keep people safe. The American people are not stupid. No one is buying the line that these secret police tactics are making communities safer. The coordinated attacks that we are seeing on our constitutional freedoms, on due process, on research, science, education, and institutions around the country, but especially based here in Boston, are designed to destroy our sense of trust and connection. We are taking every possible action here in our city to push back and to stand up for basic rights, for our freedoms, and for the opportunities that we have been building here as a city whose mission every day is to be a home for everyone. We're leading a coalition of cities from all around the country in a brief challenging billions in illegal cuts to federal funding that would end life-saving medical research on everything from cancer and diabetes to Alzheimer's. And we've been pushing back on the important federal grant dollars that have been threatened to be rescinded or terminated. The City of Boston will regularly submit Federal Freedom of Information Act, or FOIA, requests to the Department of Homeland Security regarding federal immigration enforcement activity to find out who they are detaining and arresting and on what grounds. Boston is the safest major city in the country because we are a city that's safe for everyone. That safety and hard-earned trust is being jeopardized by the Trump administration's actions. And in Boston, we will stand strong for our community members and our residents. The least that can be done is to make sure that we are receiving information after arrests of who has been taken and why and where.
Wow. See, I think that's the crucial thing, right? We cannot let people be disappeared. We simply cannot. Okay. And so when I liken it to the Holocaust, it's like, here's one city saying, no, we need an accounting. We know who was taken, where they were taken, why they were taken, right? They can't just be absorbed into the, lose their identity and you shave their heads and just dump them somewhere. And they're lost and nobody knows where to find them or who, how many were taken or where they, because that's what they would like. That's what they're trying to do. And so when I compare this to an American Holocaust, that story about one community saving one man, right? It's not saved yet, actually, but they're working on it. Is that, in the Holocaust, you thought about who you could save, right? In the end of Schindler's List, where he has this, he saved so many people. He's a real character who actually employed all these Jews in his factories, right? And said it was industrially necessary for the war machine. So he saved all these people. And then at the end, he just says, but I could have saved more. I could have saved, what about this pocket watch? What I could have used this money to save more people. But the point is, we really have to think about saving people in our community, doing what they're doing in Easton, right? Every person who's listening to my voice has people who are around them who are just being taken away. Okay. And so anyone people say, oh, what can I do? What can I do? Well, last week we had the idea of the letter writing campaign that Matt Diddy gave us. And by the way, Matt Diddy was a great guest. People loved him. In the comments, I haven't seen so many people love a guest so much. I think both because of his wonderful personality, but also because what he was talking about was so important, this issue of sexual abuse. But Matt Diddy's idea for resistance, my wife fell in love with it. She was talking about it all weekend and trying to convert people to doing it, which was that whenever he saw someone with a Trump flag, he would write them an anonymous letter. He'd write down their address and write them an anonymous letter and saying, I'm disturbed by your support of a pedophile and what message that's giving to the children and the women in the community. And he said people were taking the flags down. So, my wife was getting very excited about, hey, maybe we should somehow try to bring that up to scale, people writing those letters. But I think in my mind, this is the thing that, frankly, I would like to see come up to scale when people say, what can I do? Is there someone being, unlawfully detained in your zip code or in your neighborhood or, in your presence? The fact that they're saying, no, we need an accounting of names. And by the way, these hoods with these masked marauders are not doing anything to make our streets safer. Actually, they're terrorizing our people. So I'm glad that she's speaking up, and I'm glad she's doing something to protect these immigrants.
I was thinking about the ICE agents being masked and how the FBI never masks their people. The police never have. And I realized the last time we've really seen that is the KKK. You wear a hood. No one knows who you are. And it's a license for violence and irresponsibility.
Exactly. It's for the same purpose. It's for the same purpose.
And
right.
To intimidate.
Violence and unaccountability. That you can commit violence and not have it come back on you.
And I really, not that it'll do well. Who knows what we'll do? But I think we have to keep asking our representatives to challenge this notion of masked enforcers. It's got to stop. It's got to be challenged all the time. I think you should write your congressperson, your senators over and over again and say, why are you allowing this to happen? Yeah.
I mean, this is not America. This is not America. This is a nightmare.
It is. I have one more piece of good news. I don't know if you guys know Max Rose, but he's a former U.S. representative and actually a veteran. He'd been a platoon leader. And he's very good, very politically savvy. I think he was on with I forget who the host was, but I saw him this week, and he mentioned the Hellcats, and I thought, who are the Hellcats? Well, it turns out there are 4 women running for Congress, all of whom are veterans. And the Hellcats was the name of, I think, of a squadron of women in World War II. Who called themselves the Hellcats, and this group is using the name. They're joining together, and they vow to be strong as politicians. So I thought our audience should take a look at them. So here they are, and there are 4, and they just look terrific. Of course, I'm getting so old that they all look like they're in college to me, but they're probably in their 40s. Joanna Mendoza, who's running in the 6th District of Arizona, who's a 20-year Marine Corps veteran, Rebecca Bennett in New Jersey, aiming to unseat Tom Kean Jr. Rebecca Bennett I've seen her on television. She's terrific. Maura Sullivan, who is running in New Hampshire, the U.S. Marine Corps captain in the Iraq War, and Kate Conley in New York 17, taking on Mike Lawler. Kate, you've got to win this one. She's a 16-year Army career, 6 combat deployments, former special ops officer, later director of counterterrorism on the NSC Council. She's really remarkable, and they are fantastic women. And I think what John and I are hoping to do this year, as in the next, 18 months, as we lead up to the 26th election, is to try to get some of these candidates to come on our show so we can promote them. And if they don't come on the show, we can still talk about one of them or show a clip of what they're saying, because I think we have to see this election as a national election, not as an off-year election. That's the only way to save our democracy, which is really under attack in so many ways. It's hard to keep track.
Well, they might come on the show before they really catch on and become serious candidates and go on to bigger shows. But there might be a key moment when they might be interested that we could grab them.
We've already had a few people who are now so big they'll never come back, which is great. I'm happy to launch people if we can.
So we made them, and how do they thank us?
That's what Bill Maher always says, stuff like that. I made that person. But it is cool when people come on who are interesting and then go on to bigger things. So John, you promised that we would have the best of, or at least a selection of our closing bits, we call them, our bit of comedy. And I want you to say something about it. But before we start, I think it's really important that we thank Rex Poole, our producer, who does wonderful things in post-show editing to make these bits work. And he's all over every one of these things. So a shout out to Rex. There's really no one better. And he's a man of 1,000 faces.
Right. We'll have to show that video again. That's not in this group, but he's in one of our Mission Impossible videos. We'll have to show that to you guys next time Harry goes on vacation.
The next time I try to come back into the country.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Last time we had to deploy Rex as an agent to make sure that the Trump administration wasn't going to stop Harry from repatriating. But fortunately, our plan worked like clockwork, and we got him back. The Mission Impossible, we got him back. Anyway, we're not going to end with a funny bit. Are we going to do a shrink wrap?
Oh my goodness! What time is it? Is it time for shrink wrap already?
I guess it's time to shrink wrap already. Yeah, a short show. It's less than 4 hours today.
I actually, it's probably still going to be long. I guess I want to repeat what I said at the beginning. Or maybe I didn't say it at the beginning. Maybe I should just say it now. Trump lost the country in 2020. Yeah. He lost it during the pandemic. And as he lost the trust, remember those terrible press conferences? The one where he suggested that we should put bleach in our veins to kill the virus? He was on television every day. It killed his presidency. He never recovered from it. And then people forgot during Biden just how bad it was. He's always great as the outsider throwing bombs, and so they put him back in office, and now his popularity is dropping to 37. They're angry at him over the inflation, which is going to rise, by the way. And also, he's showing signs of dementia that people are seeing. I think he's losing the country again, the way he did 4 years ago. And if that's the case, and if there are fair elections in 26, I think we have a shot at at least stopping the stuff.
And just a small asterisk to what you're saying, he's also gone deeply negative on the issue of immigration. So just as he was saying inflation was one of his strengths and now he's minus 35%, the same thing has happened with immigration. People wanted a strong border. They didn't want their pastors to be dragged into the street by masked men and thrown into a unmarked van. That's not what they signed up for. It is affecting them. And of course, he's also losing the country over the Epstein thing. And that will continue to roil things. So I think you're right. I think the message is this month is one of hope, or this week is one of hope, because the country, there's credible evidence on multiple fronts that the middle portion of the country is turning against him, right? His base is still his base. We've always, the people who live on Earth One still have never left Earth One, so we still live on Earth One. But the people who were kind of the independents, often the low information voters, who are the swing voters who do decide elections, that group is turning against him. And I think it's going to be very hard for him to get them back now that they've really sort of decided that he's a jerk, that he's hurting people with immigration, he's hurting them with inflation, he's a pervert, and it's just like they're sick of him, I think. So I think you're right. I think that the 2026 elections, if they're not completely manipulated, should bring us the House. Look, the party out of power usually takes the House anyway.
Yes.
Well, I was just going to say, and I'm very encouraged that we're not going to let Texas gerrymander the Republicans out of this.
Right.
I would love it. I would love it if they gerrymandered Texas and they produced 5 seats, and then we gerrymandered California and produced 9.
Exactly, and I think that I think that's why I'm saying we have to make the midterms a national election. Yeah. I want us to talk about people running in different districts across the country, John. I want us trying to bring some of those candidates in who are desperate for free media. I just think we have to, this is it. Because if we take back the House, they can investigate Trump's Bitcoins. They can investigate the Justice Department. They can stop certain things. They can stop spending bills. There's so much they can stop if we have the House, and it has to be by a large margin. You can only steal elections if the elections are close. So let's see what we can all do together. How about that? That is my inspiring speech for today, John. And so maybe we are leaving our audience with a little bit of sunlight. What do you think?
That's good. I think we are. There's some genuine room for hopium here.
I think so too.
So listen, a hopium den. We're practically a hopium den this week.
Well, listen, if you like dancing, I think you'll like this compilation of closing bits. Thanks for joining us. Always great to have you. We'll be back next week here on Shrinking Trump.
Oh, I see you next week. Harry, I'm glad you reminded us about the fact that Vance has made these anti-Trump statements. And, he wants us to forget about that. But Trump keeps reminding him. And, God bless the people on TikTok, but somebody has found a way to take Vance's anti-Trump statements and put them to music.
So this is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him.
He got off the couch to do a rap.
You know what? Can we just hear that one more time?
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a
never Trump guy.
I'm a
never liked him. Come on, Harry. You know you want to. Never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. Never liked him.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
John, we have a guest to interview.
This is really who Donald Trump chose as his running mate?
Come on, he'll want to sing.
I'm a never Trump guy. Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never
Catchy,
Trump
isn't
guy.
it?
I'm a never Trump guy.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Oh, there you go, Harry. You're getting it.
Never Trump
Never
guy.
Trump guy.
I'm a never Trump guy. I
Never liked him. Well, I don't know about you, Harry, but I just feel a little gleeful. Hit it, Rex.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a
Never liked him.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
Never liked him.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Now I know what it was like to work with Jerry Lewis. I feel like Dean Martin from the 50s. John, this was such a pleasure. I had such a good time talking with you today.
Me too. Because
What's
you
that?
know what? With Kamala rising and
Yeah.
Trump shrinking, I'm
Yes? feeling
good. I'm feeling good.
How good are you
I'm feeling good.
John?
I'm feeling happy. I'm
Oh
feeling
no,
so
John,
happy.
you're not feeling that happy,
Rex!
are you?
Hit it, Rex.
You're not feeling that happy, are you?
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
Rex, can you turn that off?
I'm a never Trump.
John, listen.
What?
It was funny.
What?
It's fine, but
What?
we're clinical psychologists. We've
Well,
been practicing for combined 70 years. We
Yeah.
have to have some dignity. I mean,
Oh.
this kind of bouncing around, it embarrasses me. And I just remember that one of the problems with Trump is that he has no shame. And we have to have some shame. So can we just kind of cut this out? Listen, folks, we're going to start fresh next week. Our shows drop on Friday. It's Shrinking Trump.
Oh, wait a minute, Harry. I've thought about it.
Yeah?
And I don't
What about
feel ashamed. I don't feel ashamed. I feel happy. Hit it, Rex.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
There you go, Harry.
I'm a never Trump guy.
Yeah, get him join me
next week, folks.
Dr. Happiness, folks.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him.
Well, like I started, victory, victory, victory. I smell victory in the air. It is so sweet. I am so excited. But Harry, I realize sometimes maybe I get a little overexcited, and I felt like I felt like I needed to confess this, to you on the show. I'm talking to my analyst, Dr. Freudenberg, and luckily he's a fan of the show. And he said to me that you really should listen more to Harry. He's a little more mature, more measured, more thoughtful. You don't have to act out every impulse and express every thought and blurt out your interruptions and your laughter, and you really so maybe I owe you a little apology. I don't know.
Are you apologizing for the dancing at the end last week?
Maybe.
John, I really appreciate that, because I really was kind of hard on you, and I accused you of having no shame. And I have to be honest with you, I spoke to my analyst.
Oh.
And my analyst is not Dr. What was your Dr.
Freudenberg?
The guy who clicks his teeth. My analyst just goes by Jack. And Jack is, he'll sometimes, when we start a session, he'll say, "Hey, guy, how are you?" And what Jack said to me was, he said, "Why were you being so tough on John at the end of that last show? What's wrong with dancing?" He said, "It's almost as if you were trying to control your own wish to be playful, your own wish to dance and be powerful, and you were controlling it in John instead of being interested and respecting who John is." And if John expresses the exuberant, youthful quality, which you see in every two-man team, maybe I shouldn't be trying to play the grown-up who says no. So in light of that, John, and with my apologies, hit it, Rex.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
See you next week, folks. Thanks for coming by.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him.
We never liked it. You and we're not too old to join the TikTok revolution. And Eat the Cat, I think, has become an anthem of resistance. Okay.
Yeah.
Because that motherfucker is going to eat the cat. He is going to eat those words. And I think that we can, this is to me like a war whoop. You know, in war, how they always bang drums or have war whoops. And you might wonder, well, why are they doing that? They're just wasting breath. Just run down the hill and shoot the other people. I mean, why are you wasting? Because that creates morale. That creates enthusiasm. That creates confidence, right? And so I see in Eat the Cat a war dance, a war whoop. That this is an act of resistance.
John, are you rationalizing your wish to start dancing at the end of the show? Are you rationalizing it? Is this your way of satisfying your hypomanic need to kind of lose it? Or could it be something else? Well, I mean, is this a serious political statement you're making, or are you really just justifying dancing? I think it's important for you to be honest with yourself.
I believe that Eat the Cat is a serious and urgent and needed political statement. And I am ready to join the movement.
And John,
and I would invite you to join it with me.
Well,
to stand with me on eating the cat.
Well, to be honest with you, John, I do think it's a political movement. And also you help me to express my own underlying hypomania. So hit it, Rex.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs. Eat the cat. 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 Eat the cat.
My old cat Hagar.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Thanks, folks.
Keep dancing.
ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there had been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
People on television.
Let me just say here, this is
the people on television said my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
but
television.
The people on television said the dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Again, the Springfield city manager says there's no evidence of that. Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
Talk about extreme.
John, we wanted to have introduce a new segment to our show at the end. And this is from our viewer mailbag. And I chose a letter that I thought we could really answer to our viewers. And this is what it says. My husband and I have been enjoying your show almost from the beginning, and we like your on-air personas. John is more out there and Harry is more laid back. But sometimes performances are deceptive. Who are you both in real life away from your webcams? So, John, what are you like when you're not on camera?
Well, that's a very astute question because, actually, in real life, I'm a lot more like you come off. I'm actually very calm, and I actually speak much more slowly, and I'm much more reasonable, and I have a concerned, compassionate look on my face. And when I'm saying something really wise, I sometimes hunch my shoulders a little bit, So actually, in real life, I'm a much more calming presence. What are you like, Harry?
John, I'm a little bit on the other side of things. This is what I'm kind of like in real life. We're going to fucking get him, man. We're going to win. We're going to win. Let's look and see how goddamn crazy he is. Can we have some music? I feel like dancing.
Got the beat. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy.
Okay, Rex, let's hit it.
I'm a never Trump guy. 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 I never liked him.
Donald Trump is chickening out again.
Again.
So I know we did the chicken dance last week to mock him for chickening out on the debate and to provoke him into feeling like he had to go through with it. Well, he's chickened out again. So this is the sequel that Hollywood has been promising, Chicken Dance 2.
Absolutely. Hit it, Rex. Thanks, folks. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Okay, Rex. What? Stop before he dances more. So, John, how have you been doing this week with all of this terrible stuff happening and all the anxiety?
Well, I'm glad you asked, because I had a really creepy nightmare last night. I dreamed that you and I were abducted and sent to an El Salvadoran prison.
Oh, what happened?
Well, you know, it got me thinking. I've been kind of obsessing about this. Like, what if that actually happened? How would we survive?
Well, we'd have to use our wits.
I guess so. You know, or maybe our wittiness. How about that? You know, listen, Harry, Jewish vaudeville humor, it never goes out of style. It's like a universal language. I'm telling you, they'll get it.
Well, I mean, I've always loved Jack Benny and George Burns and Myron Cohen. You know, it is kind of at the basis of all American humor. I mean, if you want to be, you know, erudite about it, but it's great. It's great stuff. I don't know. How would it work? I mean, how would we even use our wittiness to survive?
Well, I think we should be prepared. Maybe we might need to practice a little bit, but
Okay.
I think we would just, you know, at some place where the prisoners are assembled, we would just jump in front of the audience and say,
Okay.
hello, hey, everybody. I'm John, and this is Harry. Hey, anybody here disappeared from Toledo? Oh.
I told this ICE agent, you know, take my wife, please. And he did.
Oh, it's not going over too well.
No, I keep going, John. You can do the next one.
Okay, well, hey, a guard asked this gang member, this prisoner, are you a gang member? And he said, no. And he said, are you sure you're not a gang member? And he said, no. He said, come on, I know you're a gang member. And finally says, okay, I'm a gang member. He says, oh, that's funny. You don't look gangish.
Look, a guard knocked on his cell door and asked, does prisoner 396 live here? And the guy said no. And the guard said, aren't you prisoner 396? And he said, sure, but you call this a living? And sure enough, the next day he was found dead.
Well, that's not good. Hey, wait a minute. Hey, try this one, guys. An American Jewish prisoner is stabbed 14 times. And as he's bleeding out, the guard says, are you comfortable? And he said, I made a living.
You suck. Well, we're here for the rest of our lives, or at least till the end of next week, whichever comes first. So don't forget to tip your corrections officer.
I think you better dance off the stage, Harry, before they kill us.
Bye, folks. We hope to see you next week. We need your help. Come back. Make sure you come back to Shrinking Trump. Be well.